Okay, welcome to this class on the socio-economic development in the context of Northeast India. And this is another dimension which is very important. In addition to the historical background, the geographical features, the ethnic diversity, and also cultural pluralism. So, one issue which is talks about in the context of Northeast India is that many people say that okay, development is lacking, and even there is underdevelopment in the region. But let's understand what is meant by this development. Of course, the very concept of development is also changing. Earlier, it was considered as the economic growth. The more production, but later on it has to be defined in terms of the per capita income. Then you have later on now in the global context, the United Nations, they say no, you have the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Here in that 17 Sustainable Development Goals, there is a talk about that no poverty, zero hunger, and you also talk about what is called the quality education and the gender equality. Then there's something should be done on the climate change and also what is called the decent work. So there's also kind of a partnership. And in other words, it is not just the economic growth, the production, but you have to keep in mind the issue of justice, issue of the future generation, and also the environmental challenges that should be reduced to the minimum so that there is no disaster or there's no negative consequences of what is called the development. So in that context, we have to see the development in the context of Northeast India. So except Assam, there's no much industry in other parts of the Northeast India. Other issue which is very significant, but the fact that we have not given much importance or to the is that despite the huge water resources, we are not able to have modern irrigation facilities, double cropping, that kind of a thing. You still depend on the normal rain. So as a result, the agricultural production, then unemployment, poverty, you have an impact on that. And in terms of the water supply, the drinkable water supply, that also lacking in many areas, despite the fact that we have the huge water resources. The infrastructure development still is of course of concern. As of now, also we do not have the all weather roads, connecting the various region and the parts within the state and northern region. So you have the problem of the landslide and other things there. But the roads and of course railways and other things are important, and even though there's some kind of effort has been taken place, but still in large part of the area this issue is still a challenge, as I said, because of the geographic factors and other reasons. You have petroleum, natural gas, coal, and limestone, which are available in many parts of the region. And of course, Assam is one of the largest producer of the petroleum, and the of course coal and the limestone are available in Meghalaya. So these are some of the natural resources. But other thing which is important in terms of development process is the condition of the national highways, then also high cost of transportation because of the geographical location. If you look at the West Bengal, then you have the rest of the area being surrounded by the almost by the neighboring 5 countries. So you have a transportation cost, high cost, so things are a little bit expensive here. And in addition to that, there is issue of what is called the extortion on the goods or the trucks which are passing through the national highways. Bans and blockades have been reduced to some extent in recent time, but larger issue from the point of the economic development and also the employment and the poverty is the failure or to produce the agricultural products, including rice and other food items, as well as other goods which should be available to the people. That is not taking place, and therefore we are using a lot of goods, including rice and other food items and other goods from the rest of India and also from the neighboring countries, including Bangladesh and Myanmar. So that's one issue, and many critics will argue that, will say that, okay, now in the context of the globalized era, the northern region has become a kind of a market for the rest of India as well as from the neighboring countries, rather than the producing the goods and services which we require, or rather which we can export. Of course, there are certain trends of the exporting of the agriculture and the other vegetable and even fruits from the region to the rest of India, that also taking place. But what I'm trying to say is that the changes which have taken place in the field of agriculture, in the field of production, we need to understand. There's something called interesting thing, what is normally called as the look-is policy, but now it is called as the act-is policy after the new government came to power from 2014. To be say, very briefly, what is this look-is or act-is policy is that you have the powerhouse of the economic growth in the Asian countries, particularly the East Asian countries, including these 10 Asian countries of Myanmar, then Bangladesh, of course, the Thailand, Indonesia, Singapore, then the Malaysia, all these 10 countries. Then of course you have the South Korea, then you have Japan, then to some extent Australia. So India wants to have more of a cooperation, economic interaction, trade and commerce with this, what is called the fast-growing economies. So in that context, the look-is policy was formulated in the 1990s when India, adopted what is called the liberalization policy or the economic reforms, and economic diplomacy became a part of the India's foreign policy. So knowledge is important in the sense that where you have the land route. In terms of roads, then you have to pass this through the various states in Northeast India, including Manipur. So at this point of time, you have the national highways being expanded to have the land route between the Asian countries to Myanmar, and you have in Thobal and other areas, you still have a construction of the this express highways leading to More in the border town between India and Myanmar. So that is also taking place. But what is more important is that in order to take advantage of that kind of trade and commerce, then the tourism, then we have to develop our education, we have to develop other skills, whatever the advantage we can take, it should be done. But there is also fear that that kind of expansion may reduce the region, including Manipur, as a transit route. Okay, that's also some kind of a concern. Of course, unemployment, poverty is high in the region. I'll just mention some data on that. Service sector is expanding, but there are multiple challenges. And of course, you have in recent time the expansion of the airways, and most of the cities in the region, including state capitals, are connected to the through the airways through say Calcutta, or for that matter Delhi. And in fact in Delhi it's also kind of interesting in the fact that you have Delhi flights to say Delhi or the Guwahati and also Calcutta. So you have expansion of that airways. That's one recent phenomenon. Another thing that also shows the more of interaction, increasing interaction with the rest of India in terms of the airways. Now let's come to some interesting facts on the socio-economic indicators. You can go through the the north, which I have used from the basic statistics of Northern region 2015 from the Northern Council website. So you can have a look for detail. The data from the Northern Council website, and also I have used some of the data from the Manoramaya book 2020. Okay, so now coming back to some of these indicators, some of our states in the Northern is have a higher literacy rate than the national average. The national average is 74% of literacy rate as far as 2011 census. So Mizoram is the third position in terms of the overall higher literacy rate. So it's a more than 91%. Sikkim has more than 81% in terms of literacy rate. Then of course you have Manipur and Nagaland around 79% literacy rate. And then of course Meghalaya is 74%. So these are the states which have above the national average of literacy rate of 74%. But you have two states where the literacy rate is below the national average. One is of course Arunachal Pradesh. They have literacy rate of 65.38, and Assam has a 72%. So this one interesting fact. In terms of the sex ratio, national average is 943. When you say sex ratio, it is the female population of 1000 males. So in that context, Manipur has the highest sex ratio, that is 992. But you also have Mizoram, 976. Then of course you have Meghalaya, 989. But you have states which are one state which is below the national average in terms of in case of sex ratio. It is Arunachal Pradesh. It is 938. So that is one aspect of the indicators. Now let's come to one more socio-economic indicators. What is called the per capita income. It is 2012-13 calculation. So in that context, you have a lot of variation. But Sikkim is on the top. You have a per capita income of 1,51,395. Just look at the huge gap. But if you compare that kind of a thing in Assam, it is only per capita income is 38,945. Manipur, you have per capita income of 70,274. Sorry, that figure is for Nagaland, 70,274 is per capita income of Nagaland. But in Manipur is the lower side. You have only 37,656. Of course, Mizoram is a little bit higher, and Arunachal Pradesh in that context they have 76,370. So go through these figures. It indicates certain kind of understanding of our economic development and condition. Now, more interesting part of the socio-economic indicator is the poverty rate. I found it very interesting. It is in 2011-12 census year data. So all India average of poverty rate, it is 21.92, a national average. But interestingly, many states are better, that the poverty rate is low. So Sikkim has the lowest in terms of poverty rate. They have 8.19. Of course, Meghalaya has 11.87. Then you have the Tripura, which is the 14.5 thing. So these are the states which are below. They are better position in terms of poverty rate is less. But you have states which have higher poverty rate than the national average of 21.92. In that context, Manipur is coming higher. So your poverty rate is 36.89. That's a very large number. Then you have Arunachal Pradesh 34.67. So look at these figures. The point I'm trying to say is that indicates the poverty is a problem in the region, and many states, of course, you have lower, but many states are higher than the national average of the 21.92. So you can have a look at the figures from the note I have given. Okay, coming back to some of the interesting things where Northern India is, some of the states are better position. The Assam is known for its tea plantation, and in some estimates, as per the 2014, is that 53% of the India's total annual tea production, is in Assam. Assam produced there. And in that context also, 70% of the world's total annual tea production is in Assam. So that's something interesting thing. And of course, it has one of the highest, tea growing region in the world. And also, Assam is also one of the largest producer of the oil or petroleum in India. Another important thing about is the region is the forest, forest resources, and it's quite good in the region. And of course, there is issue of deforestation, but it has to be increased by the states and the government and the people, and also the politics has to give some kind of a priority in that context. And Arunachal Pradesh, the 15th Finance Commission, successive Finance Commission has introduced one criteria. If you have the more forest area, then you are given more fund by the Finance Commission. So Arunachal Pradesh getting one of the highest, but other states also can do in order to fight the environmental, the impact of the development, but also to prevent what is called the climate change impacts in the region. So these are the some interesting things about better things about the Northeast India in terms of economy and the production. One last issue I just want to mention is the fact that the skilled labor or the workforce is still a kind of a problem in the region because of the fact that many people from outside the region come as the workforce as a skilled labor for the production as well as for the construction and the roads and thing. So that's one issue, but also it's a kind of creates a social problem in the region. So on the whole, the economic situation is not very satisfactory in terms of the what we see. So you can see yourself in these indicators. There are some ideas, information. So our government, politics, and the people have to give priority how to transform economically, and also, as I said, about to achieve what is called the sustainable development in the region, which gives a priority to the kind of inclusive, kind of a justice, but also concern for the environment and future generation. So thank you for joining the class today. I'll end here, and we'll see you in the next class.